Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios. In the studio, as always, with me is...
Not always. I joined you by phone last week.
That's true.
I'm Trace Trylko. Hello, everyone.
Well, whatever. We also have a special guest in the 1148 studios today. Michelle, Trace's sister, is here.
Hello.
All right. So she's observing from the corner over there.
Don't tell anyone. FSU alum.
Ugh. Yeah, we didn't really
Don't
need to
tell
mention
anyone.
that. Did not need to mention that.
Hey, do you remember Bo Derek?
Yeah.
A perfect 10? UCF's the inverse. 0-10.
Yeah. Yeah. This is episode number 59. Next week, a big one. 60. Anyway, yeah.
It's a bye week.
Yeah, well.
Hey, by the way, the odds are out, and we're a 10-point dog.
For the bye week. That's awesome. That's horrible. Yeah, so we had a football game yesterday, and the final was Tulsa 45, UCF 30. Wow. 30 points.
I will say this. There were moments of progress during this game.
Absolutely.
A great third quarter.
Yeah.
Considering the previous 9 games, third quarters, we totaled 6 points. So we did a little bit better. Considering
for a while, though, UCF has not been at all a third quarter team. They've turned it on in the fourth quarter a lot in the last couple of years. Those big comeback things, but consistently after halftime has never been a good team.
No, and, through 10 games, we've yet to see 4 full quarters, a complete game. We see moments. You go back a week earlier, the loss at Cincinnati was over in the first quarter, down a couple of scores in the first quarter. So they fought back from the adversity of being down at the half, rallied with a good third quarter. But the way this season has been, a couple of mistakes, and things just go off track very quickly for UCF.
Yeah, I think that when they do put that game together completely, that's when they will win a game. I mean, I know that that's nothing prolific to say, but I believe that when they can actually put an entire game together, they'll actually come out with a win.
2 more shots at it.
Yeah.
The road slate is over. UCF returns home on a Thursday, back-to-back Thursday games. Bye week this week. East Carolina. By the way, East Carolina lost to the Cows from Tampa. They are going to need to fight to become bowl eligible, and South Florida's sitting there with 5 wins. They need 1 more. Boy, I hope they don't need that in the regular season finale.
I think that East Carolina game, that could be the one.
The one.
To get the first win. I think that one is looking better and better every day because their record is not that great. I'm not sure what their record is now.
I think 4-5 or something like that.
Definitely not the best team in the league. I think that one really could be. I think we have a good chance. We'll have to see what the numbers, come out as from Vegas during the week. But I would, I'm sure probably we're going to be an underdog. But I think this team is starting to come around where they take some of that stuff a little more serious, especially at home. I think that they want to win at home in front of their, you could see. I said on Twitter at one point during this game that I could see who had laid down and who hadn't. During the third quarter, they had not laid down. They had not given up yet. And I think that's the key, that they had not given up in that game. Now, if they can continue to not give up in the East Carolina game, even if they get down, that's going to be the key, is to not give up and play the entire game.
Well, and I think we saw that with some losses. The UConn game, that was a 9-3 game, couple of mistakes, and then suddenly it's 23-3 going into the halftime, leading Houston 10-7. By the way, Houston still undefeated, so that's a good team. And then some mistakes, and then everything unravels. And even in this game, it's you got to move on to the next play, and they really let that.
You saw another team from the American unravel last night as well. We saw Memphis get spanked. Even though the score says 45-20, Navy beating number 13 Memphis, they unraveled at the end of that game.
And it shows you how a year's difference for the American. With Temple's success, their only loss to Notre Dame. Houston is undefeated. Memphis now with its first loss to Navy. By the way, Navy has only one loss on the season. So the top half of the league,
and Navy is now in the American.
Yeah.
I think some people forget that.
And they're a good and always year in and year out competitive, good program for Navy. So they're a welcome addition to the American and raising its profile.
I would actually like to see the stats from that Navy-Memphis game. I haven't had a chance to look, but I'd like to see the rushing stats for Navy.
I will effort that
and
for you.
I would like to see how many times, if they passed. I never saw them pass the ball personally. I mean, they run that triple option, which is the craziest thing
exciting
in the
to watch,
world.
though,
It
isn't
is. You never know which way the ball. Like, it's kind of like, you know, rugby, and they have the scrum, and the ball like kind of just squirts out, you know, and then the guy picks it up and runs with it. That's what the triple option reminds me of, because you never know where the ball's going to go. I mean, it goes one way or the other or up the middle. I mean, but you never know who's going to get it. There's all those people in the backfield. There's like 3 running backs.
All right, I've got some stats for you. All right, Navy's quarterback, 3 of 5.
3 of 5, yeah.
3 of 5 for 85 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
And the running game, they had 66 carries.
Yeah.
For 374 yards.
Right.
A 5.7 average with 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
5 of 8, is that what you said?
3 of 5.
3 of 5. Oh my! So they threw the ball 5 times in the game. That's how that offense works. That's a team that can't stop the run, and it's over. I don't know if a lot of teams could hold up to that. You know, getting run at that much.
Well, UCF did not do well getting run at in this game.
I mean,
big holes at times for Tulsa. Certainly, you can say UCF took advantage of some costly Tulsa turnovers, but UCF's turnovers proved costly as well.
Absolutely. And Coach Barrett, we have his post-game coming up right here, and he talks a little bit about that.
You know, they built up a pretty good lead and everything, but our guys responded the second half and came out and made it a game. You know, 2 costly turnovers there in the fourth quarter, you know, or who knows what the outcome could have been. You know, and that was the key coming in, try to get more turnovers defensively, make them punt. I thought the defensive guys, for the most part, did a good job, except some big plays on the run there, not hitting our gaps and everything. But, you know, you look at the effort that was put forth, you look at some of the things that we got corrected from a week before, I think we got a chance in these last 2 games to come up with some W's. You know, unfortunate for Blake, I know he's feeling bad about the situation. It's part of football, it's part of the game. You know, we were able to create turnovers earlier. So that was one that got away from us, you know, unfortunately for him. But at the same time, you know, we had a chance, you know, 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. That's the closest we've been all year, especially on the road.
All right, so there you have it from Coach Barrett. He didn't say anything that I think that we were surprised by or anything like that. He did not take responsibility this week, though. So
he did the previous week. What I like, though, is that they showed more heart and fight in them.
Absolutely.
Than they had last week, obviously.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you go back, they were in that game at Temple. And not a well-played game by UCF, but they were in that game, and they were in it for the first nearly 2 quarters with Houston. And, again, the mistakes, and then things just got away from them. And then Cincinnati, nobody showed up. It didn't seem like anybody showed up. So I appreciate the fact that they showed up this week and had fight in them. What do you think of Justin Holman's performance?
I didn't think it was that great. In fact, I was trying to convince Coach Barrett on Twitter during the game to...
Yeah. How'd that go?
Well, he didn't respond.
No,
I don't
he's a
really
little
know
busy.
why, but he should. I expect him to have his phone down there and respond to my tweets.
22 of 40, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Interceptions are always bad, though, aren't
Yeah,
they?
any interception is
no,
bad.
well, but there are times where the defender makes a great play.
Right.
He just sort of
But there's times where he
throws it
just,
out there.
wings it out there to nobody. He'll throw it right to him. I don't know if you listened to the announcers during the game, but they were all over him. Like, he does such great things, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, throws one out in left field or whatever. It's
going to be a very interesting quarterback competition when we get to that.
I'm looking forward to that, actually, because I think that there's more talent there. I really honestly think that Justin is not nearly as good as we thought he was. I think he was surrounded by a bunch of really good wide receivers, and now that he doesn't have those guys, not so much. Sometimes, yes.
I don't know. And
sometimes he makes some incredible throws.
Yeah.
He does. But he's not consistent. He is not consistent.
How much of that is him? how much of that is all of the new wide receivers, at times
Well, that's what I'm saying.
a challenged offensive line, inability to run the ball. I mean, the running statistics here were 40 carries for 138 yards, 2.7 average, but Taj had 11 carries for 40 yards. Justin had 32. Nick Patty had 25.
That is getting better, though.
Better.
It really is. It's not as good as was it last week that we had all those rushing
but a
yards?
lot of that. I mean, they're down 52 to whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that playing time period, though, is good practice.
Can we give a shout-out, though, to Traquan Smith? 7 catches for 131 yards.
That dude's a stud.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what he can do next year and the year after and the year after that.
So you're suggesting that perhaps the stable of wide receivers that we had last year bailed Justin
Absolutely.
out. And that is something, if you remember back to media day, was then head coach George O'Leary talked about how that wide receiver core, a lot of me guys, maybe they wanted the catches for their highlight reel, but there were times that they did bail Justin out. But I just don't know how much you can expect out of whoever's at quarterback right now with the line and its challenges, inability to run, new guys running around. There are times where there's an incompletion, and that's on the wide receiver, not on Justin. I'm not saying he gets a pass, but I think he's really dealing with some adverse conditions, and I don't know what more we could expect from him.
I think the line's getting better. I really do. I saw improvement this week in them for sure. But I also saw some creative play calling that we haven't seen yet. We saw reverses. We saw, the screen passes a little bit more. So I think that helped a little bit. But that all disappeared towards the end of in the fourth quarter, which is kind of interesting. I know this is a little bit crazy, but this was brought up on the message boards on UCFsports.com that maybe, just maybe, I don't know if you saw this, some people there's a little conspiracy theory going on.
On the message boards?
Yes.
No, you don't say.
There's a little conspiracy theory that maybe Coach Key isn't giving everything that he could give.
Oh, based on what?
I don't think he's given. I think the guy isn't too smart in the first place.
Well,
to be honest with you, because
I think the coaches give
his performance has been horrible all year. Anyway,
that's
horrible.
But that's not to suggest that he's not giving the best of what he has. It may not be good enough.
Why would he want us to win? He's not going to be here next year. Why would he want us to win?
I don't subscribe to this
No.
conspiracy theory.
Just hear me out, though. Hear me out. I don't either, really. But what reason does he have for us to win?
Pride, professionalism.
Well,
What?
I don't.
Just because they're not performing well doesn't mean that he's not a professional.
Yeah. Well,
And he will work elsewhere. All these guys will get jobs.
Well, I don't know if all of them will,
They'll get jobs.
but I don't know. I know how people are these days, and I would not put that past him. I don't know him man to man, but I don't know.
No,
So,
I'm gonna side with professionalism and pride, and given the best of what he has with the talent that he has, and a new start for him in a new place. He's a young guy, and he'll go on to other things.
It's my opinion that I wouldn't put it past him to not give his total effort.
So it's the
anyway.
8th of November as we record, and we still don't have an athletic director. Obviously, it's quite soon after the departure of
I would think that they
head
would
coach
be
George
making
O'Leary.
that hire within the next couple of weeks.
Got to be soon, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Got to be soon because you want to get a head coach in. Report this week, and the message boards are all the fans are bouncing around the same names. A report from 580, ESPN 580 Orlando, hinting that perhaps one of the front runners for this might be Bowling Green athletic director Chris Kingston, who, personally, one of the criteria that I like, UCF grad, class of 1994. It was an excellent class, Andrew. Might have also been my graduation year. So I like that UCF tie. And, of course, then you might be able to say, might he bring what is one of the most highly touted names on the message boards, Bowling Green's current head coach, whom he hired, Dino Babbers, with him.
Is it Babers or Babbers? I don't know.
We may soon find out locally.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the AD guy from Bowling Green that they're talking about. That's great if he's a UCF alumni because, I think that most people would want to go and work for their school at some point. I do know that Dino Babbers or whatever it is a name that a lot of people like that's coming up on the message boards. It seems like he has been involved with a lot of programs that have quality teams, but one thing that interests me a little bit, he was in these Power 5 schools as the offensive coordinator, running backs coach, wide receivers, but then he went to Eastern Illinois for 1 year. I wonder what happened there.
As head coach, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he wanted to do, was to move from career assistant
for
to
1
a head
year.
coaching job.
For 1 year. That interests me, 1 year.
With success, though, right?
I would assume so, because his overall...
2 years. 2 years. I see 2 years. 7-5 his first year, and then 12-2. So he parlayed success.
Oh, was it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
2012-13, so I didn't know if that was... Okay, yeah. Okay.
So he parlayed success. Postseason success. Took him to the quarterfinal. So he had success and then wanted to parlay that into a head coaching job.
His overall head coaching record is 34-15. He can be kind of an interesting guy. I wish we had a clip or something.
Maybe for
from
next
him.
week.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do.
Well, Bowling Green is 7-2 this year, following up on an 8-6 season last year, a bowl win last year. And their only 2 losses this year are to Tennessee and Memphis.
Yeah.
So
they've been 15-8 under him as of whatever this Wikipedia article was written. I don't know. But, hey, a lot of people seem to like him. He's been with some pretty incredible teams. He spent some years there at Baylor. And I think a lot of people are going to come from that whole coaching line that are, pretty incredible coaches that were around a very offensive team.
Tulsa's coach, right? Had Baylor ties.
Yeah. And, he's definitely an offensive guy, which a lot of us are interested in. I don't know what Bowling Green. I'll have to look up some Bowling Green tape, maybe see if I can find that.
Get a sense of his offense.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously an offensive guy. He was a running back for Hawaii, but I guess it also says that he was a defensive back. But in all these positions, he was offensive coordinator at Arizona, offensive coordinator at Texas A&M, running backs coach, wide receivers coach. Yeah, so he's an offensive guy. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I'll have to do some research on him.
I mean, everything is a rumor at this point, right? I mean, I'm waiting for the AD hiring.
Yeah, but you would think if they hire the AD from Bowling Green that he would probably bring along his guy.
You might think that
he hired there.
Yeah, so. I mean, he hired him there. He has had success at Bowling Green, and it would prove an interesting hire. Well, and he walks into a university that continues to achieve great academic success, if not success on the football field this season. UCF, #1 Division I public institution in the nation with a graduation rate. That information released earlier in the week, which I love for my diploma, enhance my degree. That UCF, its graduation success rate trailing only Vanderbilt, Duke, Notre Dame, Stanford, Northwestern, and Boston College.
Yeah, those
As
are
my
some
sister
good...
sits in the room, I note that Florida State
is not there.
Not there
at all.
Not listed.
Florida wasn't in there either, was it?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not there.
Yeah, I didn't see Florida.
No. Florida State.
Gators.
Yeah. See, we're good at that.
These teams that are, really good at football hire thugs and people that need tutors to even be able to do basic math, I think. So, whatever.
Yeah, we don't need bowl games this season.
Yeah.
We got academic bowl wins.
if there was a national championship for academics, we would be there.
So, Kansas, your alma mater lost again this week. So, 2 schools with no wins. That would be UCF.
I am
Kansas.
blaming this all. I'm blaming Kansas now on the curse of the cabana as well as UCF. It's all because they built that stupid hole in the side of the Bright House Network Stadium.
What if there are going to be any people in that hole coming up on the Thursday
night
in a week and a half against East Carolina?
I don't know if there's going to be anybody in the entire stadium. I think that there should be, and if you're listening to this, you should get out there and support your guys because a win is coming, I think.
Is that a prediction? Well, hold off.
Yeah.
Until next week. The loss means that the free beer continues at that bar.
Man.
And the free Uber rides continue.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting coming up. I think you mentioned to me that
UCF should start giving away free tickets to get people in the stadium.
They're going to have to give. They're going to have to be doing something.
They're going to have to give.
Is that military appreciation night or law enforcement appreciation night or something
military,
like that?
yeah.
Oh. There'll be some tickets. We have a different guest coming up on the show. Someone we've had before, but it seems Kyle Israel is doing some traveling and is not able.
He went to see his brother at Clemson this week, so we're going to give him the night off for this. But he's going to get with us later on in the week, and we're going to put that out as an extra exclusively on YouTube. I've been trying to put one of those out.
Yeah, I like
every
those.
Week.
By the way, I like those
midweek sometime.
We featured UCF hockey midweek.
Wednesday or Thursday we had Night Fan Stand. Stuff like that. So we're going to try to put extra content, and it's going to be YouTube exclusives. So you're going to have to go there and watch and listen. There's not a lot to watch, but there are, some logos up there and stuff like that. But speaking of watching on YouTube,
yes,
December 13th.
Mark it down.
7:30 p.m. prime time.
Sharp.
7:30 sharp. We are going to do our football end of the year recap show, and it is going to be live. You're going to be able to see our beautiful faces live on YouTube. December 13th. 7:30 p.m. and it's going to be awesome. Kyle's going to be here with us. It's going to be the two of us, Kyle, and we still have yet to name a special surprise, guest
going on.
But
live would not be enough.
It will be video. It's going to be cool. So it's going to be like a television show that you can watch on YouTube live. You can send us messages. I don't know if we're going to do call-ins because I haven't quite got the technology down to do that. But you can leave on there on the page. There's when you log into. I don't even think you have to log in, but when you go to the YouTube live page, you can send messages. So we're going to try to interact with our crowd by looking at that and. If you can ask questions, you can.
It's the evolution of the Nightline podcast.
Yeah, well,
we're excited about it.
We got to do all kinds of different stuff. But back to the original thing. Yes, Erik Kohler is going to join us in a little while. We're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk a little bit about football.
Basketball, really, it comes a week, less than a week.
I'm not
Saturday
ready.
night they open.
I'm not ready.
No, it doesn't seem quite.
I'm not ready
there, and they open on the road, so that's a little bit of a difference. So
that's good.
The voice of the. UCF Knights on the PA at the CFE Arena, Erik Kohler, who's been on with us before to talk about football. We'll get a chance to join us to talk a little bit about basketball, but we'll throw in a few football questions as well, get his perspective.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. That will definitely be cool.
And the American over the weekend, as we talked about earlier, Navy knocked off number 13 Memphis 45-20. Hate to see Memphis fall from the ranks of the unbeaten. It gave us a real chance, the American, of breaking into that postseason party. But Houston may yet keep the American in the mix. Houston now 9-0, beat Cincinnati 33-30. The new polls out on Sunday. Houston up to 16, Temple at 21, and Memphis fell to 25. Other winners, as I just mentioned, Temple. How about this for a score? 60-40 over SMU.
Not a lot of defense going on there.
Then you have UConn winning at Tulane 7-3. 7-3. How many points did UCF give up to UConn? 44? And how many did they give up to Tulane? 45.
I don't even remember.
By the way, Tulane has 2 wins on the season. One of them's over UCF, and the other one's over whatever they call it, the 1AA, the FCS.
Yeah, UConn only has, I think, 4, maybe 5 now.
And then in the battle of UCF's next 2 opponents, the Cows won at East Carolina 22-17. Coming up, Week 11, game of the week. How about this one? Memphis at Houston.
That'll be a good game.
Yeah, that should be a good one. Temple is at the Cows. By the way, the Tampa school's 5-4. They need 1 win to become bowl eligible, and you think Temple would be favored to win that one, which would mean they might need that 1 win.
That would be cool if we could stop them
and destroy their season. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
SMU at Navy, Tulsa at Cincinnati. The winner of that game becomes bowl eligible, which, by the way, Tulsa at 5 wins, coming off a 2-win season, shows that you can turn things around in one season. And Tulane at Army.
All right, well, let's talk to Erik Kohler now and see what he has to say about all this.
Joining us to talk about the football season so far and also a little preview of the UCF men's basketball season is the voice of sports in Central Florida. You know him as Erik Kohler on the public address announcing at Bright House Network Stadium at the CFE Arena. Erik, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you? I appreciate all you do.
Thanks so much for joining us again. So when we last spoke with you, there was a great deal of hope about the upcoming football season, and as we talk, we've got an 0-10 team. What is happening with this football program?
Everything's just it's a perfect storm in all the wrong ways. I mean, losing coach, young team, all that jazz. I mean, no excuses. Bottom line is it's going to have to be a new era. I mean, it's really tough for UCF football, Night Nation, and all that jazz. But I mean, it's really hard to even fathom what are we even talking about. We're talking about 0-10. So I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But you know what? It's new era, new time, and let's get through the season and focus on some basketball.
Yeah, well, you've seen all the same stuff that we have out there, because you're calling all these games. You're watching pretty close to see, what's going on, and you probably are watching maybe even a little bit closer than we are. What's your opinion on what's really happened this year? I mean, besides all the injuries, everything else, what's really happened out there?
Well, we just lost our mojo. It's like someone stole our mojo, guys. I mean, we have Michael Willett, was a fifth string running back coming in the fall, and the depth chart. We have true freshmen. We have guys that are not even redshirt freshmen. We have guys that are true freshmen that played high school football this time of the year, last year on the fall and Friday Night Lights. I mean, they haven't caught up with the speed. It's no excuse, but the fact is, it's tough, guys. I mean, calling these games, it's very trying for me. 15 years of calling UCF football, and I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we're just less than 2 years removed from the Fiesta Bowl. Last year we went to a bowl game, and this year we don't win one game. It's hard. It's a head-scratcher, man, across the board.
Yeah, well, we have a hard time doing this and talking about it every week. I can't even imagine how hard it is for you to sit up there and try to be positive on the PA, and I'm surprised, that we haven't heard, come on, guys, or something, from you up there. I know you're a professional and all that stuff, but it has to be difficult for you.
Well, I mean, that's why there's a kill switch on my microphone, thank goodness for that. I mean, I tell you, sometimes I think I come up with new phrases or new expletives that I can't say across the mic. But after doing the years and I've done with different entities and different franchises, that you just, I got to stay above all that stuff. And it sucks because, obviously a lot of people don't know that I truly am an alum. And I've been a long-time booster, a fan, announcer in all these years. So it hurts me more, as you said, than a lot of other people. But you know what? We're going to get it right. We're the UCF Knight and second largest university in the country. And, we got to go through a transition out, get a new athletic director in December, and then focus on selecting the next coach of the UCF football night. So, the storm will pass. The sunshine will come out again, but it's a really rough time for all you guys do. I mean, think about what you guys do, but it'll pass. It sucks, but it will pass.
Is there a moment when you went, this could be a long season? I mean, you think back 10 weeks. It's been 10 weeks since the first bye week for UCF. 10 weeks with that home opener against FIU. Yeah. Was there a moment where you went, this could be a long year?
Yeah, that's a great question, guys. I appreciate all the support you do for UCF. But, to be honest with you, it was the first game. I mean, that FIU game we didn't move the ball at all offensively. And then to get that late hit on Holman, to move the ball in position, to try to attack the field, downfield. And then all of a sudden we just we're going to rely on Matthew Wright, a redshirt freshman, for a kick, and then lose yardage and then get the 5-yard penalty. It just set the tone that went sideways. I mean, the next week to Stanford, Holman goes out in the first series, and then losing a firm. Something was amiss. But I'll tell you what, for me, to be honest with you, FIU, that last drive, the way we set it up and had no offensive prowess to attack the field, and then leave the kicker as the last option, but to put him in the spot to kick a long field goal and lose that game. To answer your question, that set the trend in all the wrong ways for UCF football.
We're a couple of weeks removed from George O'Leary retiring, stepping down from UCF. How would you describe your relationship with him for a decade plus with UCF, your interactions with him?
12 years. I worked very hard to build a relationship, personal relationship with Coach. And the best thing about Coach, no one talks about, everyone be like, he's a salty old coach. Everyone gets that. But the best part about Coach was you always knew where you stood with Coach. He would tell you straight. He wouldn't smoke and mirror this stuff with you. And, he did a lot of good things for me. And I was loyal to him. He was loyal to me. And he did a lot of good things for UCF football. Remember in 2004, the first year we went 0-11. 2005, it was the third best turnaround in NCAA football history. And we went to the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl. And, the trend was set of upward and onward for UCF football. And it's a shame that, he ends the same way that he came in. 0-11 his first year. Now he was 0-8 before he resigned and retired, per se. And, my relationship with Coach was good. There would be times I'd come out to practice and, caught him in the wrong time, I'd get yelled at. But, the same token, I always knew where I stood with him. And that was the best part. Some people tell you things in your face, oh, yeah, it's okay, and then all of a sudden it would change. With Coach, you knew exactly where you stood. And the one quote about Coach, he would always say, he was a stand-up guy in a sit-down world. And that will resonate for me forever. And, I just think that everything he's done for UCF football, it's like everything's so fresh, guys. And your opinions might be different than mine. But you know what? He brought UCF football to the national stage. We sipped from the national championship fountain in 2014, the Fiesta Bowl. And we tasted greatness, and we're going to get back again. But he put us on the right stage. And now it's time to move on. But, the relationship was good. And he was loyal. I was loyal. And now it's unfortunate we're going to move on the way we do, but it is what it is.
I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit, and I don't know, you can choose whether to answer this or not, but is there anybody that you would like to see as the new head coach of the UCF Knights?
I have a couple guys that I would like to list openly, but you know what? I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to give you this, is that we need a guy like me that needs to bring energy to the fan base of UCF. You guys have seen the way of Coach O'Leary in his administration, his football program. And I would love to appease your answer, but the fact of the matter is we need a young gun that brings offensive energy back to UCF football. We finally are getting the talent of the guys, the skilled positions from down south and the Miami areas. We're getting the recruiting wars. We're winning the recruiting wars against the bigger programs. We need to tap that. We need to get excited again to get the ball down the field. And I think there's a couple of guys that I like, but I tell you, it's not going to happen until the athletic director position is filled. That's my opinion, because it would be against the whole rule of everything right now if you would hire a coach before you got the athletic director position. That's not going to happen. I guarantee Dr. John Hitt is going to secure the athletic director position, and then thereafter you're going to see the new football coach. But the great position would be a young guy that comes in with energy and to utilize all this talent that we're recruiting for all these guys, because UCF is a special place, guys. We know this now. And the one thing I want to mention you guys and ask you, with all these new vacancies and the head coach positions at all these programs across the board, do you think this hurts or helps UCF football?
We've talked a little bit about this, and I was on with Erik Lopez the other day on 1080, and when we talked about this, I definitely think that the UCF job is a better job than Miami for sure. There's a lot less expectation here than there is at Miami to make things, right. I think it's going to be a lot easier to right the ship, to be honest with you, here than in Miami.
But with that being said, what's the detriment against Miami? Because obviously I'm a UCF guy, just to be the devil's advocate. Everyone thinks Miami is such a good job. That blows my mind. I've listened to all these sports pundits that says Miami, the swag of the Canes guys. Does not anybody understand that we have the facilities in place that the Hurricanes have to take a 30 to 40-minute bus ride to a empty stadium each and every Saturday they play a home game?
Right. That's
right?
exactly one of the things. This job, I think, number one, it'll be easier to right the ship. We have the facilities, and the head football coach here is a big guy in Orlando. That's a huge position to have in the city of Orlando, number one. There's a lot of UCF fans. There's a heck of a lot of students out there. That's a big job, but they have to excite people like you were saying. It's got to be – I think this can be, a stepping stone job for sure, for people if they want to go to a bigger school. UCF definitely can be a stepping stone. I think bigger than Miami. There may be a few less eyes.
Stepping stone, though. We don't. We need. I think that's the biggest problem, guys. Andrew, I think that's the biggest issue. What you said right there. Why do we have to be a stepping stone job? Why can we not be a destination job?
Well,
with all the stuff that's set with our climate and everything, and you got the recruiting right here in the fertile ground of Florida. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If we hire someone with their eyes on a different prize, then we've hired incorrectly, in my opinion. And I'm very, very, very adamant about that.
I tend to agree with you, but I think when you look at the SEC coaching ranks, that the every coach, even at the lower rung there, makes $4 million plus, and O'Leary in his 12th year, clocking in at about $1.89 million. I think it's a stepping stone into a Power 5 job and a much bigger paycheck. That's why UCF doesn't tend to be a destination that people remain for a long time.
Well, let me tip my hand then. I'll give you a name that I said I wasn't going to say earlier in the interview. How about Jeff Collins of Florida, that was a member of the UCF football staff and is one of the candidates for the UCF football head coach position? What about Jeff Collins? He makes the money as a SEC assistant coach. He probably makes more money, as you just said, more than the head coach position at Georgia Lee all these years. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, he could be a guy, coming to further his career and be. I don't know if he's been a head coach before, so that would be someone coming back to their alma mater to be a head coach, and that would be an excellent opportunity for him. I don't personally know a ton about him, but I've heard good things. Do we want a guy that's from one of the Florida or Florida State teams? I don't totally know about that, but
defensive coordinator for the Florida Gators is a pretty high-profile position.
Right.
To just go down the Florida Turnpike to UCF, but that's a pretty big situation when he was on Georgia Leary's staff.
Well, earlier in the this episode of the Knightline podcast, we were talking about the search for an athletic director, and one of the names floated this week is Bowling Green's athletic director, Chris Kingston, a UCF grad. For me, I would like to see the athletic director have UCF ties and have pride, having been a grad and wanting to return and stay. So whether the coach has UCF ties or not, that athletic director not pulling a Stansberry on us and renting a program for a couple of years until he parlayed it into a bigger job for himself, which I don't begrudge him, but that's how I always felt with him here, that he wasn't going to be here for the long haul. That's why a name like Chris Kingston interests me as athletic director. But I do like the idea that someone with UCF ties and with recruiting experience in Florida, which leads me to my question for you, Erik, is based on what you've seen through 10 weeks, is the cupboard bare, or does this next coach come in with a lot of players that have gained a great deal of experience and can help us turn the corner quickly, a la the last time UCF went 0 for a season and parlayed it into a bowl season?
I think it's a great question, but I think that there's going to be issues. I mean, you're going to come in, you're still going to have the same issues. I mean, us and Kansas University of Kansas, I should say,
which is my alma mater, just so you know.
Yeah, okay, well, go Jayhawks. But that was the biggest. Those were UCF and Kansas actually were the youngest teams that played the most freshmen. We had 32 guys that made their first career start this year. Think about that, guys. 32 separate football players made their first career start in a UCF football uniform.
That's a ton.
Think about that.
It's a ton.
Think about guys. When you graduated high school, how old were you? What were we, like 18, 19?
18, yeah.
Right? And normally you get a red shirt, right? So you get to watch a program, go through strength and conditioning, all that jazz, and watch the speed of the game and get involved in the scout team, right?
Yep.
You get 1 year. There was guys that never had that luxury. They actually played on the high school football fields last season, less than a year away ago. So, I mean, no excuses. To answer your question to that fact is that the coach who comes in, I think it's still going to be there. I think you're going to have guys that have experience. going to go over the summer. They're going to gain more experience of being in the program of, out-of-season strength and conditioning programs. But you're going to have a very young team. But I think that new energy could galvanize stuff. I mean, look what Jim Harbaugh has done at Michigan. He came late in the recruiting process. And look, he had host players. And look at Michigan now, the Wolverines. They weren't supposed to be around for 2-3 years. Going forward with Jim Harbaugh, now all of a sudden they have a chance to play spoiler against Ohio State at the end part of the year. So think about the different parts of it. You bring the right guy in with the right energy to galvanize and kickstart all the players in the system. Maybe you can do something with it, but it's not going to go away. You can't get rid of youth. But, next year, it all depends on the hire. I mean, the Harbaugh thing for me is a perfect example. I mean, you could have all these issues. You bring the right guy in, and you could say that the cupboard is bare, as you alluded to earlier. But if it's the right guy, and he knows how to be the right voice to kick these kids into high gear to make a difference, next year's going to be good. But you know what? As low as we are this year, next year's got to be positive, right, guys?
It's got to be better.
It's got to be better.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, it's just like, at a roulette table. I mean, you've seen black the whole time. Red's got to hit eventually, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I like that analogy. I like roulette. But
yeah,
so,
but I want to touch one point real quick, interject. Because I really like what you said, the athletic director position. Because, I've actually put my hat in the ring, not for the director of athletics position, to be involved in some shape and form. Because I've seen UCF football in the history from a unique perspective of announcing these games. And what you said earlier really struck a chord with me. And that's why I'm going to maybe try to get involved more in what I do. I liked what you said about we need someone that has UCF ties. Because I am tired of seeing people that have coming in that maybe punch that ticket for that next program or whatever they are, like you said, the wave station for their next opportunity. This is a wonderful opportunity. UCF football, UCF in general, Orlando, Florida. We offer so many special things for anybody. And I think that director of athletics has to have UCF ties to understand and appreciate how special we are. If the coach comes in, like you guys said, separately, that's fine. But the director of athletics has to understand and galvanize the home grassroots of the UCF football family that have understood and endured. I mean, the first year of UCF football, Division I was 96. We don't need other people coming in to tell us what our business is. And that's a very important part. And I do apologize for taking away the energy on this point. But this is something I'm very adamant about. The next director of athletics has to have UCF ties. And you guys hit it on the head. I think that's the most important hire going forward for UCF athletics.
Glad to see you're not holding back on your opinions here on the Knightline podcast.
But the reason being, I'm so adamant. I've stayed on the sidelines for so long, guys. No pun intended with the game analogy. Is that I've seen so much, and I've seen guys like Stansbury that came in, and I get it, but he put us in a bad spot. He went back to Oregon State, the director of athletics, and I get it. But the fact is, if you had someone that really, really cared and knew UCF to be here, they would have stayed here. And, you don't bail. You don't bail on your family.
Yeah,
and that's something that bothers me.
Definitely pride for your alma mater is a big deal. I mean, I'm having a tough year with my two favorite teams in the entire, world of college football, Kansas and UCF both. UCF being my adopted favorite, but Kansas being my alma mater. I mean, I'm never going to root against them. I hate to see what's happening to them. So if a guy came in here that went to UCF and he would have a totally different type of pride than anybody who didn't.
Yeah.
I do believe that that's a good thing, and I think that should be, one of the criteria, and hopefully that's, somebody that they hire, somebody like that. And then hopefully, he'll know of a head football coach, that he could bring with him. This guy from Bowling Green has a great football coach there with him at Bowling Green, and maybe he can bring that guy. And that guy, Dino Babers, whatever it is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a guy with quite a bit of fire and has quite a bit of an offensive fire as well. So,
well, but I think you need separation, though. I really do. I think you need a director of athletics that has UCF ties, and then the national search for whatever the right coach is for the right time and the right fit can go from there. I mean, we saw the bridge, and obviously O'Leary and Stansbury had some ties, or seeing the original guy that got O'Leary in the mix in the first place, they had ties. Bottom line is we got to make the right hire director of athletics, and it needs to be someone that has UCF connections, has the right energy to galvanize the UCF community. Because right now everyone's licking their wounds. Think about it. After the Fiesta Bowl, think about the energy, guys. We beat Baylor, right? Just less than 2 years ago. Baylor's now probably going to go in the top 4 now, whatever transpired in the last, shake-up Saturday games, okay? Think about where they are, and then you're saying to me, yeah, we lost Blake Bortles, Storm Johnson, all that jazz. Now, they're still continuing to win and still in the playoff picture, and now we're searching for a one win after 10 games, okay? You can say, look, they're Power 5, they're Big 12, yada, yada, yada. That can't happen. There's one thing to have a bad year, but to have this year, the UCF football family, the UCF Knight family, they're in disarray. And if you bring in the right guy to tap that energy, to get everybody back on board, it's going to be explosive. UCF is such a national power. No one gives that the credence to that. You bring that back year in, year out, you get that energy and get everybody fired up. We're like probably the most privy social media school in the country. And right now, think about all the kids and people that have been involved that now sit in the sidelines now. Everything that's gone wrong. You tap that energy again. That big bear is going to be awake again.
Yeah,
and we will rise again, fellas, in a very short manner.
Absolutely. I definitely believe that is going to happen. I can't wait for it to happen, obviously. So we got to talk a little bit about basketball, because I think that's, a rising deal here at UCF too. This year could be quite a good basketball team, something that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's, Johnny has been dealing with the sanctions that were put on the program the last few years. The biggest thing about, UCF basketball, men's basketball this season, is that we finally have the first time of depth. We have depth at the position, at all positions on the floor now. And I think that's going to be the difference. The one question everyone's asking about is why the NCAA is dragging their feet on Taco Fall of releasing him from eligibility. I still don't understand that. When we played by the rules, that's the biggest underlying issue and question for UCF men's basketball. But other than that, I think it's going to be exciting. Honestly, it's going to be exciting because, since UCF football has kind of had a, not so special year, everybody's turning to look for something different. And what do you think about the next season as UCF men's basketball?
I think that depth is gonna be huge, because if you look at the other teams that are good in NCAA basketball, all those teams are very deep. If you look at the Kansas, the Duke, the North Carolinas, those teams have a ton of depth to them. So I think that finally, this could be the year for that for UCF. We saw shards of brilliance last year with some of these guys, BJ and guys like that. So I hope that this is the year. I don't think there's any excuse for it not to be a good year. I hope that it turns out well.
Well, I mean, you got guys now that are eligible. I mean, A.J. Davis, is going to be fully eligible this year. It's going to be fantastic. He played Tennessee 013, 014. He had to sit down, do the NCAA transfer rule. But this guy comes from, his father was Antonio Davis, had a very special career with the Pacers in the NBA. I got to meet his dad when I announced his battle for Lancaster in Bahamas, which I leave in a couple weeks for, and he's going to be special. I mean, you got Chad Brown. You got Shaheed Davis. These guys are going to be good. Look at B.J. Taylor. I mean, Adonis Enriquez. I mean, these guys were freshmen last year that stepped up and made some plays. And, Taco Fall down the side. Justin McBride. I mean, look at Taco Fall. He's 7'6". Justin McBride, 300-plus pounds. I mean, those guys take up space. Taco's got that wingspan. And, I mean, Donnie is a good recruiter. I mean, I remember calling the first ever win against the Florida Gators at the Amway Center a couple years ago. And that was our first win ever against Florida Gators in the hardwood. And that was the same season that UCF upset the highest-ranked team they ever beat with UConn, which was ranked at number 4 at the Battle for Lancaster in the Bahamas. And, then we stubbed our toe, got in some trouble with NCAA, lost some scholarships and all that jazz. But this is the first year that big dark cloud and that success that we had in the hardwood has gone away. And, the media, the picks, they have us like 8th or 9th in the American, because the American Athletic Conference, to be truthful, I mean, now the nation's starting to see it's a football conference with the success, Memphis and, Houston and Temple, obviously Memphis stubbing their toe against Navy. But, I mean, basketball-wise, you got teams that are phenomenal. And, maybe it's good that we lay in the weeds, but I think Donnie Jones is hungry, and he works really hard. So does his staff. And I'm excited for a good year this year. And I tell you what, it's coming very fast. Our home opener is November 18th, which is just about a week and a half away. And it's going to be a good time at CFE Arena. They're going to have an event November 10th this week. They can go out. It's a free scrimmage to check out the women's and men's basketball programs. And, guys, I tell you, it's a new season for basketball. Where there's new hope, there's new opportunity.
Well, when you talk about that the team might be improved in a very deep conference, to come off a 5-13 conference record a year ago, what do you think is realistic in terms of improvement with the UConns and the Cincinnatis and the depth in this league? And what keeps Donnie Jones from being on a hot seat, especially with the AAC tournament being hosted here in Orlando? What does UCF have to show with this the depth that this team has this season?
That's a great question. I mean, I think we got to be over 500 in conference play. I think that's a must. And the hot seat is, you're right. The hot seat for Donnie has been a little bit different. With the sanctions and the scholarship restrictions and all that jazz, I think it's been muddled. The fact of the whole position of Stansbury leaving, and then, George O'Leary is the interim athletics director, and that disappeared. So it's almost like we're in the wild west, guys. But Donnie knows he needs to win. And Donnie's done so much good for the UCF basketball family. A lot of people don't know he hasn't had the support that he's needed from the administration, because football usually takes all the budget dollars, guys. And Donnie's one of the good guys, good family guy. He recruits well. He's doing good things. The last couple of years, it's not been where we wanted to be. But to answer your question, over 500 and contend for that conference tournament, that you're right. I mean, I've made a big push, guys, to announce that tournament in March at the Amway Center, because I announced the NCAA tournament 2 years ago, the second and third rounds. But, we need to win. We need to win. We need to win at home at CFE Arena, win on the road. But I tell you, B.J. Taylor is the real deal. He was a freshman last year, and he's going to get the guys involved this year. We got depth. Just got to get Taco Fall cleared on eligibility with the NCAA.
We'll talk a little bit more about Taco Fall. Assuming the NCAA clears up the eligibility issues, you got a 7'6" guy. A friend of mine asked me, is he really that good? Kind of a little disrespect towards UCF. If he's with you guys, how good is he? For fans that only know that he's a 7'6" guy and he's going to suit up for the Knights, what can we expect from him night in and night out in a very competitive American?
Someone at 7'6". Think about the wingspan, guys. Think about the space that you take up in the paint. And if you even have 50% of the talent of any other guy at that position, you got so much. You authorize a defense to take 2 or 3 guys to cover you up, and that's when you have good 3-point shooters. You open up those looks, you make a bunch of shots. That's why I think we're going to be successful. You have the Justin McBride. You have Taco Fall. If he gets cleared, they take up so much space down in the paint, guys, that allows your playmakers like the B.J. Taylor, the Adonis Enriquez, A.J. Davis to make moves to either the basket or kick it out for an open three. And that's the difference. The Taco Fall, his biggest thing is the presence in the paint. And on top of that, he is pretty athletic with his size. So you get him down in space, you get him close to the basket, you can't defend that. Think about it. You're 7'6". You got your center from an opposing team that's 6'8". If he gets deep low in the paint, he turns around, he puts it up, he's shooting down into the bucket. So for that right there, that's an answer to your question. The guy creates space down low and creates matchup problems.
There's another guy that the first person that comes to my mind that is 7'6", that played in professional basketball, Yao Ming was the guy, and that's who Taco Fall says that he watches a lot, watches everything that he does, watches all of his old tape and stuff like that, and who he wants to play like. Yao Ming was 7'6" as well. I mean, that's how big that guy is. If you know anything about the NBA, Yao Ming was a very big guy, playing.
Well, what about Manu Bol? What about Manu Bol?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, think about those guys that had to go on the road with these hotels in NBA cities, man. You had to get special designed bed to be rolled in for you. I mean that's a separate fun story. I mean, it's like, again, you take up so much space in the paint. That's got to be an edge competitively for your basketball team.
Shaquille O'Neal would be looking up at this guy. Because Shaquille O'Neal is only 7'1".
Only.
So he would be looking up at Taco Fall. That's just putting it in perspective for people who haven't seen this guy. It's amazing.
But what's cool, he's got such a good demeanor, though. I mean, he's one of those cool cats. I mean, even Shaquille O'Neal, he's got that good demeanor, too. But Shaquille had that he was just built like an ATM. I mean, he was 7'1", but he was thick. Taco is in the strength and conditioning program for UCF basketball. He's tall and lanky, but the same token, he's, before we had a couple other guys, Stanley Billings and Ben Stout. We had a couple other experiments some years past in UCF basketball that were tall. Like, if you looked on paper, like, oh, man, this guy, there's no way to defend him. And you would see, like, there's nothing to him. But Taco, this is the first time we've had someone that's athletic, at that size, can run down the field, run down the court, I should say, and can make a move down in the paint. And, Trace, as you said earlier, I mean, the question was, like, hey, how much can he make a difference? Well, you know what? When you take up that much space in the paint, you force the defense to use two defenders. That means someone's open on the perimeter, and that's why you got to shoot the ball. And that's why I think it's a detriment against defenses. And I think it's a big asset for UCF basketball.
As you mentioned earlier, trying to encourage fans to come out for those final two football games at Bright House Network Stadium, and that a new energy is needed. The energy at the CFV Arena, when you really are into it, and that crowd is rocking, that is just a distinct home court advantage. Just share with us what that feels like to be behind the mic and hear the crowd begin to roar and get on its feet and get behind a team.
Well, I mean, that's a great point. I tell you what, to be honest with you, my most favorite announcing thing for UCF has been basketball. Obviously I love football because they get the numbers, and I've created the first down call and the third down call. But with basketball, the best part about basketball, guys, is that you can see where I am. I am down the court right there, center court. I am one of you guys and gals. I am part of the crowd. I feel your energy because I'm with you. When I do football games, I feel your energy, obviously. I'm not discounting it. But I'm up in a booth. I'm on the 6'4" booth at the 40-yard line. The difference is basketball, I'm right there. And what I love about it is I have a Bloomington, Indiana background. I was young enough and got to witness Bobby Knight to win a couple national titles for Indiana University basketball, the Hoosiers. And I was around Louisville basketball when they won a couple national titles. So my goal was to always interject to the dominated state of college football for the state of Florida, to interject the energy of college basketball to the state of Florida. And that's the biggest thing. And it's such a great thing. And that's what's so cool. I picked up so many great opportunities. I did the Old Spice Classic down at Disney for a few years. And then the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas popped up over Thanksgiving. I picked it up to announce. I did the Big East SEC Challenge. And it's cool because that's my MO of announcing these games. And I tell you what, to answer your question, it's awesome. I love when we hit a three. Say we're down 8-10 points. Haven't been in the lead all game. And then we hit a big three. AJ did for three. I mean, and then it's timeout called timeout. Memphis. Stuff like that is awesome. And the best part, to answer your question in a nutshell, is that I'm one of you guys and gals. I am on the court. I'm with the team. I feel your sense. I feel your frustration or the energy. And that's the difference, and that's why I love basketball so much.
Well, I'm going to be looking for a signature call now for the UCF basketball team, just like you have that signature call for football. You need to come up with something, man.
No, I mean, mine's just energy, though. I mean, even Donnie Jones has been a big supporter of me since she's been the head basketball coach.
No,
I mean, even Kurt Spiro before was a big supporter of me. That he gave me a signed picture, and it really. I'm a very humble guy, and it was really cool that he said, Erik, you're a big part of our success. And, with basketball, I don't have a signature call. It's more of the energy, though.
Yeah.
And
no.
I even asked her, David Hansen, our internal athletic directors, gentlemen for UCF Athletics Administration, of, hey, man, keep your ears open when you go to these other sites of Memphis or wherever you travel. Let me know how I grade out. Let me know how I grade out with the PA against these other guys. And it's like, Erik, you always do a great job.
Yeah.
You're not a homer, but you get that energy when we need you. And to me, that's important. That means a lot to me. A lot of people don't understand how much mental energy that I give in calling a game. And anybody that thinks that they can do what I do, bring it. I would love for you to sit in my seat, and see what you got. Because I tell you what, you are glued for 2 hours. You cannot miss one point. You got to be on your reads for sponsors. You got to call all the plays correctly. You got to get energy. You got to be appropriate at the right time all the time.
Speaking of people that were, calling games, I was watching the game yesterday, and these guys on ESPN News were calling Shaquan Burkett like something completely different the entire game. It was driving me crazy. I know that they had...
You called him Burkett.
The entire time. Was it driving you? I know it was driving you crazy because...
Oh, my God. I kept hearing him say Burkett.
And I kept yelling back, Burkett! It was...
Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm glad. I got a funny story on a sidebar. A couple weeks back, we had the play-by-play guy. I knew Rini Angolia, long-time UMass. He's in the Hall of Fame at UMass, running back. There's a lot of color for ESPN. Well, he had his play-by-play guy that kept saying Central Florida. And I was like, man, it just drove me nuts. So I was like, hey, man, I granted that we're 0-9 at that time. I get it. I get that we suck right now. But I was like, at least, we're UCF. Don't say Central Florida. I was like, because that was in ESPN meetings when I've done a couple of games in them, and they were like, always, that was the most important thing to them is identify correctly the universities. And sure enough, I texted Rainey, and I was like, dude, can you please just tell your play-by-play guy it's UCF, not Central Florida? And sure enough, the same play-by-play guy did our last game, and he said nothing to UCF.
Awesome. That's good.
And I was like, come on, man. I was like, I know we're over, but dude, come on, do your job.
Yeah,
do your job, man.
Absolutely.
I'm fighting for your job. Just do your job. It's not Central Florida.
Yeah, they put out the pronunciation guide every week. I mean, it's right there in front of him. I know he has it, but he just didn't read it, obviously. So it was driving me crazy. And I appreciate
you didn't like
that.
Burkett? You didn't like Burkett?
Oh, man, I don't like that at all, no. I kept yelling at the TV. My girlfriend was getting upset. I'm sure everybody in the house with me, they're like, what's the problem? He's calling him by the wrong name. It's Burkett. Anyway.
Yeah, that's funny you said, because you know what? When I do a game, when I do the home games, I meet with, the opposing athletic director, the communications guy, and we go over with the external and internal PA, and we go over the whole roster, like what the scratches are, the double numbers, is there any name, any guy that's going to pop out that we might not see, what's his name, all that jazz. And you would think that the TV guys are getting all the play and all the exposure and money that they would do that, and that's why I'm set up for the perfect position for the next play-by-play guy, because I've done all the behind-the-house stuff. Now I just need the opportunity.
Well, I believe that you will get that opportunity somewhere someday,
so,
man. I definitely do.
So that I don't want to be 85 calling games, but I love Vince Scully for the Dodgers.
Awesome, man. I appreciate everything that you do. We appreciate it, I'm sure. In fact, I don't even have to speculate. I know that Knight Nation is very proud and very thankful for what you do, man. So,
well, I appreciate you guys. You guys are doing a great job. I've been watching you from afar and stuff, and I tell you what, I like the way you got a great platform, and you're trying to get a voice for UCF Athletics. I know it's a tough time, but you know what? The clouds were clear. Everything's going to be okay.
All right.
And it's going to be a rebuild and all that jazz. And listen, if you guys are ever available, remember, EK Sports is on 7-4 The Game, and also now the FM 96.9 The Game. And you guys are always welcome on my show. I really appreciate the support, and reciprocity is always a big thing with me.
Yeah, well, tell people a little bit more about where they can find you, Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff.
Well, Twitter is at EKSports_radio. And then, obviously, I'm doing, since we played bad football this year, UCF football has played a lot of noon games, so it's punched off my show on Saturdays, which is normally around 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. But with that being said, I got crafty and found another spot. So tomorrow I'm doing a special EK Sports edition of Monday Night Football, tomorrow on FM 96.9, the game, from 7 to 8 p.m., setting up the Monday Night Football game. And then next Saturday, I'll be back at my normal time slot from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays for your weekend sports report.
Awesome. Well, we will join you on there at some point. We definitely will. I know you've said that a couple times, and I feel bad that I've never taken advantage of that, but I will. I promise you. Thank you very.
You guys are always well. Just keep doing good things, man. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. And if there's anything that I can do in my capacity, I'm here for both of you, and I wish you guys the best of success, and good luck, and just keep in touch.
All right. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate you being on here tonight and being candid with us and bringing a lot of energy. We really, really appreciate it.
That's good. You guys are awesome, man. Good luck to you guys. Charge on.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
As mentioned earlier, basketball fan night coming up Tuesday at CFE Arena. Begins at 7, featuring both players from men's and women's basketball. Check that out. Free parking in Garage D for those of you locally. The men's team opens on the road at NCAA tournament participant Davidson on Saturday. And then the women's team also opening Saturday on the road at Nebraska Omaha.
Yeah, we played Davidson last year, I think, and they kind of put a whooping on us. So maybe we can get a little bit of revenge or something there on Davidson when we play them.
Tough to open on the road, but be interesting to see what this new look team looks like, and they're going to get a tough test in Davidson.
Yeah, it'll be cool. So nights in the NFL and other stuff. What did you see this week? I know Latavius Murray actually went out with a head injury, probably a concussion.
Which is a shame because he was having a good game, and Oakland was leading there, and then let that get away late against the Steelers. But nearly 100 yards, 96 yards.
Went out as well. He's not a Knight, but
yeah.
But we know that he's been having his issues this year.
And then Blake, again, moments of explosiveness for the Jags. But boy, they remind you of UCF in a way that they turn the ball over at the most inopportune times, and that sort of doomed them on the road at the Jets. But Blake still with strong numbers.
Yeah. So I think
former Knight is going to be playing locally if he makes the team, of course. Former offensive lineman Torian Wilson inks a contract with the Arena Football League's Orlando Predators.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So an opportunity to see a former Knight locally, should he make the final roster for the Preds.
Very cool. I think it's some time now, though, for some news and notes. And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports.
Congrats to UCF junior punter Caleb Houston and junior defensive end Luke Adams, both voted onto the College Sports Information Directors of America. Boy, that's a long name for an organization. Their academic all-district team, by being named all-district, both student-athletes will now be on the academic all-American ballot.
Women's soccer knocked out of the American postseason, a 1-0 double overtime loss to the Tampa Bulls. UCF hopes to get an at-large berth into the NCAA tournament. The field's announced Monday at 4:30. A couple of players honored by the league: junior forward Carol Rodriguez, named co-offensive player of the year, and also on the all-conference team, senior midfielder Ashley Spivey and redshirt sophomore forward midfielder Kayla Amadek. I have no idea how to say that. Meantime, goalkeeper Vieira Veras was named to the all-rookie team.
Men's soccer season also comes to an end, losing to Tulsa 4-2 on penalty kicks in the quarterfinals of the American Championship. UCF finishes 7-8-2. Meantime, American Men's Defensive Player of the Week, that goes to freshman Yakov Basic.
Volleyball fails in their return home 3-2 to East Carolina. Better news, UCF shut the barn door on the Cows in Tampa on Wednesday Abby Fleener made the news when she earned the American Offensive Player of the Week honors. Next up, UCF Knights travel to Temple on Friday.
Easy for you to say. Successful weekend for several Knights as men's and women's tennis took part in the 2015 Collegiate Clay Court Invite out by the Mouse House. Next up for men's tennis, the Dick Vitale Intercollegiate Clay Court Classic at Lakewood Ranches, Florida. That begins Friday.
And finally, we featured the Knights club hockey team on a YouTube Extra earlier this week. Saturday night, they fell to South Carolina 5-3 in the first collegiate hockey game at the Amway Center. Good crowd sticking around after the Solar Bears game to catch the Knights. Well, Trace, this has been episode number 59. It's been a long one. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field with